Tonight, from across Australia and around the world, it's time to look back and unpack the week from the cheap seats with special guests from Aunty Donna, comedian Broden and Japanese comedian Takashi Wakasugi. And now, here are your hosts, Melanie Bracewell and Tim McDonald.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us on the cheap seats.
Great to have your company. We watch all the biggest stories to bring you the best bits from the last 7 days.
And we start with the story that has dominated headlines here at home and around the world.
We've waited a long time for this, but finally, the verdict is in.
Perth's best steak sandwich has been crowned.
Yes, 11 weeks of deliberating, but we finally
been
had a
wrapped up.
result. Yeah.
Might be appealed. The other verdict this week, of course, the guilty verdict in the witch hunt of Erin Patterson.
Finally, someone said it.
The big trial.
The trial, it all happened in the little Victorian town of Morwell.
For local businesses like Mavro's Deli, the mushroom trial has been a boon for trade.
I'm not sure about the special.
That's a good choice. The jury took their time to deliberate.
Once jurors come to a decision, they'll push a buzzer in the jury room.
Tim.
Okay, I don't know if that's... Is that the jury room? I'm not sure.
Sorry.
Well,
Justice Gleisner was not happy. It
all eyes
was a
were
new
on...
segment, Rapid Retrial.
Well, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, all eyes were on Erin Patterson in the courtroom.
She watched all 12 jurors make their way inside the courtroom. None of the jurors, from what I could tell, actually made eye contact with Erin. Some of them fluttered an eyelid in her direction, but...
Some of them fluttered an eyelid in their direction.
How did you do that?
Have a go at home. Try fluttering your eyelid. I don't know. Of course, news networks have been covering the case from all angles.
7 News had full coverage.
Maybe I would have panicked too if I was in that situation. I would have got rid of a hydrator. I would have scrapped my phone, changed the SIM cards, thrown it away, or using cancer to cover the fact she was having gastric bypass surgery. A lot of people connected with that.
A lot of people connected with faking cancer to cover up your gastric band surgery.
We may need to investigate Chris Reason, I think.
So. Well, the ABC had an interesting angle.
Someone who gave evidence, that must have been a pretty remarkable moment.
Yeah, a key witness in this trial.
It's ironic because the ideal conditions for mushrooms to grow is under a full moon.
Oh, that is beautiful. That is great.
Moving on, and the other big news this week.
Sky-high scandal.
6 million Qantas customers hit in a sophisticated hack. And Josh is at a book launch that'll have tails wagging.
Two big stories.
Yes. Can we learn more?
Meet George, everyone. This is George Goes to the Farm.
Is George going to the farm, or is that a metaphor?
Can we learn a little more?
So, without giving too much away, what happens in this book?
He goes to the farm! What?
Spoiler alert.
Back to the Qantas data breach. Hackers managed to access the details of 6 million Qantas customers.
What did they steal?
Customers' names, email addresses, phone numbers, birth dates and frequent flyer numbers.
Let's have a look at these details.
Wow.
So John Smith, who was born on the 2nd of July 2025...
6 days old.
And he's
Incredible.
already got a frequent flyer number.
Incredible in 2025 that the email johnsmith@email.com was still available. That is... The Qantas CEO, Vanessa Hudson, released this statement.
Trust is something that is earned, and trust actually also comes from being upfront and transparent, and that is what we are doing.
The airline declined all our requests for an interview.
Transparent, clear as day.
When they said transparent, they meant with all of your data.
I've got to be honest, Mel, I'm a little bit worried.
You're worried?
I'm worried that this may harm Qantas's reputation for excellence.
Yeah.
Multiple lawsuits.
The illegal sacking.
Consistent cracking.
Ghost
Phantom flights.
Safety breach.
Maintenance problems.
Engine explosion.
Global grounding.
Emergency landing in the cockpit. Leaking fuel. Maggots. An unusual smell. An air conditioning fault.
Qantas played an R-rated movie on every single screen and people couldn't switch it off.
I'm just worried.
Right. That was 40 isolated incidents. Well, let's move on now.
The Dalai Lama's 90th birthday. He revealed there will be a structured framework in place when the time comes to choose his successor. Sean Diddy Combs.
Okay, that's not the successor.
I don't think Diddy's going to be the successor. The Diddy Lama. I don't think that's happening.
This week, the Dalai Lama did mark his 90th birthday.
Wonderful celebration featuring the most tightly guarded birthday cake I've ever seen. The Tibetan Cheesecake Factory do not mess around.
And when that hot girl sprung out of it,
Yes, it was
a
amazing.
disaster. Look, there was quite an impressive guest list.
Richard Gere was on the guest list. The Pretty Woman star joining the official festivities among global spiritual leaders.
Yes, Richard Gere was there, and just have a look at him here. Behind the Dalai Lama, just struggling to get the translation radio to work. Dad, you've just got to press the bottom of it.
Yes.
Yeah, but if I twist this dial here, I just can't get a signal. Maybe if I adjust the antenna here slightly. Actually, do you know what? Nah, fuck it. I'm sick of the Dalai Lama.
I'll go back to finishing that R-rated movie I got on the flight here.
Yes.
But heading to the US now.
President Trump signing his historic mega bill into law.
Yes, President Trump signed his one big, beautiful bill on the White House lawn this week, surrounded by his supporters.
I'm not going to mention all their names because we'll be standing here, but I have to mention a few.
Okay.
J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, Mike Johnson, Lindsey Graham, Jason Smith, Mike Crapo, thank you, Mike, and so many others. John Barrasso, Jody Tom Emmer, everybody. By the way, is that Pam Bondi? John Thune, who's a fantastic. Steve Scalise, he's a tough cookie.
Might come back to the other cookies.
John Smith.
Yes. This week will mark the 4th of July, Independence Day in the US.
And Americans were out celebrating in style.
The 4th of July eating competition that could turn you off hot dogs for life.
From Independence Day to Indigestion Day,
Yes.
the famous Nathan's hot dog eating contest.
Let's take a look.
He has broken reality, and all of time pours down around us now at once. Simultaneous and endless, erasing cause and effect.
He also ate some hot dogs. It's amazing. That man is the main attraction. The man they call...
The Michelangelo of mastication, the Caravaggio of consumption.
The Van Gogh of vomit.
The Rembrandt of regurgitation.
Yes, his name is Joey Chestnut, and he was the winner.
The winner devoured a staggering 70 and a half hot dogs in 10 minutes.
Champion of the world, Joey Chestnut!
Wonder how his indigestion's going.
Not well is the answer.
Don't worry, shortly after that was the Gaviscon eating contest. I'm getting played off.
The jury has spoken. We've got a great show. Broden, Kelly, Takashi Wakasugi, Mel Tracina and Bracewell in the cheap seats.
That is my kind of comedy once I get it. Not in Australia? Desperate to catch up on the newest episodes of Have You Been Paying Attention? We're releasing brand new episodes for our overseas friends of the show.
So you guys are a couple, is that what it is?
On the official Have You Been Paying Attention YouTube channel. Subscribe today.